our Simpson Desert trip. What more do we need but sturt peas on Andamooka late afternoon, day one. On the track in to Andamooka from the Roxby Road. 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and our first patch of sturt pea.
They're quite strange, aren't they?
Yeah. Tell me where I can... There we are, stop.
Native geranium. It's a wild geranium. It's a feral. It's an rhodium. Yes. Sometimes they grow into big bushes like so.
But it's not an introduced one though, isn't it?
It is introduced.
Oh, it is
no,
introduced.
It is
When you said
there are two types actually. Some are circular seed pods and some are pear-shaped. They're very pretty. They're drying out a little now.
Lovely, delicate colours, aren't they? With the
Yes.
cream and the pink and the green.
Yeah.
So these are the wild hops?
No,
they're
top
different
salt,
from the hops.
top saltbush.
Oh.
Hop.
Wayside stop to look at some of the flowering plants in this totally desolate Gibber plain on our way to the waterhole, and it's just like this for 360 degrees. Gibber, and every little depression there's some plants.
Bladder saltbush or Atriplex vesicaria.
And that's the male plant.
That's the female, that one.
That's the
and this is the male here.
Oh, the poor drab male.
Yes.
But the birds is the opposite, you know.
Why are we learn to live with these things?
Very common in this country.
And it's the bindi eye that gets in your socks.
Yes.
Some of the grasses.
And as we head for the Andamooka waterhole, we have on the top of the hill the cairn that was built by John McDouall Stewart on the 22nd of June 1858. His way to Western Australia or Northern Territory, but we'll find out when we get up there. And so most years you have water.
Most years there's some water.
And they used
Not
to...
necessarily this extent. You see how it flows right back. Oh, there, look, Jack, around here. Quick ducks.
Oh, yes.
What are they, wood ducks?
I think they're wood ducks.
Isn't it?
And the flowers are in full bloom and they're absolutely beautiful. As we come down to the waterhole, there's more duck in the background.
It was almost dry last time.
Andamooka waterhole. In the remote central part of the country on this lovely waterhole. And here we have the intrepid explorer. He's made it. With John McDouall Stewart made it up here too.
Yep.
And you can see the power of the water that's gone through here recently.
I was wondering on the way through why the different type of rock. Remember we went through the plain of...
Well, it was good water skiing country. It just ain't quite deep enough or big enough. So it goes upstream. Andamooka Creek. And this is John McDouall Stewart's cairn, to which we've all added a stone for good luck.
Start again? What do you mean?
Just talking about Mr. Stewart,
This cairn was built by McDouall Stewart on, well, I presume it was the day, the 21st of June 1858, because they camped here on June the 22nd.
And where was he going?
He was heading north. From here he went north, west, out towards the where the opal fields are now, and then further west and north up through what is now Stewart Creek Station, Lake Eyre South, and around to Ceduna, then back down to Adelaide. And the purpose of that journey was to open up new pastoral country.
And was he the guy that was doing this in one of his dry out periods?
That I wouldn't know. We'd have to ask Jenny about that.
Acres of artefacts.
I suppose like a buildable knife or a spearhead or something.
Another one. This one looks a bit skewy.
This is an unpublicised location.
Appendix there.
Or you could give him a vasectomy. No, what do they want? Circumcision.
Circumcision.
No, the circumcision ones
Circumcision,
are...
wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
that was a broken beer bottle though. So this
Not acceptable.
So what sort of one, what
Like that one
let's
there.
have a look at the scraper, Jeff.
It's a bulky one.
There's a spearhead, isn't it?
And so what would they scrape?
Skin?
Spears. Making
Oh.
their spears, for example,
so this is-
scraping the wood.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So
And I'm not sure what they use for cutting meat.
they'll probably use it for skins too, for scraping
Skins,
the skins,
scraping the
cleaning
skins.
Yeah, this is a dune. It's
a
not
workshop.
a gibber. See, it goes down several feet before you hit the clay.
and so this is all superficial.
Yes,
Every stone's been brought here.
every stone would have been brought in.
Over 100 years.
Thousands of years. I assume that we see so much on the surface because over a period of time, of course, it's blown away. That's right.
Story tells itself.
Some of this stuff, though, is very hard. So too hard. Too hard. You obviously got to use hard.
Here in the Gibber Desert we have, in amongst all the stones, the nest of the chestnut quail, cinnamon quail thrush. Can you see it? It is there. And there is the nest, right on the ground with three little eggs. Gibber, as far as the eye can see. A couple of the locals. They look like miners. Here in Andamuko. There's some pretty basic living conditions. Miners' huts, Andamuko.
Oh, that's the restaurant. And that's
And here we are at Blanche Cup, one of the famous mountain springs, and we'll see how different it is since 1980, whenever we're up here with Ian. And up the walkway on this, it's got to be mid-30s day. Here on the top of this mound spring, fresh, warm water. Very good 10, 20 metres above the surrounding salt plains. That's green, middle of the salt and the heat. Flies in the sun. And here we are at the bubbler, in the middle of the desert. We have this running water, like a little mini waterfall. And true to its name, it is bubbling. coming up from the bottom of the artesian water system in Central Australia.
Oh, it's doing its bubble and everything.
Margaret and Jennifer and Jeff looking at the bubbles.
What a brilliant thing. Because it's doing
This is the big one.
That's the one we saw on the video.
Oh, there it goes.
But it only sometimes
again?
does.
No.
Might again in a minute. Look! It's doing its big one.
Big bubbler.
Quite exciting.
We finally made it to William Creek here at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We were going to be here at midday, but still. This is the street, that's the main street. And here we are, and Ruggy's had a problem with his tyre, and he was going to get it picked up, but where's the hole, Ruggy? I can't see the hole. Oh, there's a hole, and so we've got to run our tyre pressures pretty low. And now what's your cap, Ruggy? What does it say?
The Outback Detectives Golf Classic.
So the town, William Creek is full of police.
We're teeing off at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, well, yeah, we might make the Simpson Desert, and there's the golf course out there. I'm parked in the main street beside the public telephone. It's hooked up to solar power, and there's the parking bay in the main street, and we have 3 airplanes just parked here. Well, everybody's resting for tomorrow's golf classic. William Creek on the Udnadada track. Some of the other sites at William Creek Hotel is there's a pedestrian walk light here, if you look very closely, and that's operating across the main street of, or the main highway of the Udnadada track. Don't walk, don't walk, don't walk. As we look around here, we see a pig on this trailer, and I said to the guy, "What's the pig for?" He said, "Well, it's first prize for the golf." I said, "What? Is it live? What you said?" "Oh yeah, live. You take it home. You win the golf. You got to take the pig home." The main street. This is the sign in the main street, and here we have a parking meter. The only thing is that the parking meters say it's a Victorian parking meter. It came from the city of Melbourne. Well, next morning we're back in William Creek. We're about to head along the track to Udnadada, 203 k's. The golf competition is well underway here this morning. And there are the golfers. We head off at 8 a.m.
Knocked his beer over. Took it out of gear.
Well, this is the Angle-Bikina Bridge across the Niels River. It's part of the old Ganroe line, and there's water there, and it's the highest point. It's 12 metres above the waterline, and it's a very similar design to Murray Bridge, and there's been a false rumour going around that it was originally designed for Murray Bridge. And here we have Ian coming down off the bridge. And just over here, to the left of it, we have a wrecked motor car. Now, this looks like any other wrecked motor car in the area. That car was in fact attempting to cross the bridge when the Niels River was flooded and the road crossing you couldn't get across, and the train came along. A man and his dog jumped out, hung onto the edge of the bridge. The car was pushed over the edge. The dog went over and the man survived, and the dog was never seen again, and here's the car. Well, here we start off on the track to the Simpson. Ian and Bob. And to find him we have Jeff, and Jennifer and Margaret getting organised and looking at the signs. So it's the Whitjera National Park, the Simpson Desert, Hamilton Homesteads 97, Mount Dares 223. We're 17 k's out of Udnadada. And there's the Simpson Desert, and Birdsville 640 k's from here. A few other places to go to can always go back to the Pink Roadhouse to find out more. Dalhousie Springs 170 k's by Hamilton Station and Paderca. So we head off into the Simpson, waving the flies out of the car, or waving to me. Here we go. Well, it's getting on in the afternoon and we're well and truly out of Unadata on their way to Hamilton and Dalhousie, on the western end of the Simpson, and the amount of greenery around the place is absolutely unbelievable. There's grass and green everywhere here in the Simpson Desert. And on the edge of the road we have desert sturt pea. Only one small patch.
No, there's lots of patches. Right out that
Oh, been
and over
correct.
the other side.
There's patches everywhere. There's greenery.
Here you can see that grass, Jack. Oh, that you were trying to identify.
Oh, yes, it's tough with this grass. A magnificent cattle feed through here. Magnificent. Things flowering. If we knew our botany better, we'd better tell exactly what they are.
These little flowers. Button daisies, those little pink. Almost looks like a pig face.
Magnificent. In the desert. Hi, Jeff.
There, Jack.
Goodbye, Jeff. Where are you going, Jeff?
If I know, mate.
It's the Simpson Desert.
That's Simpson Desert.
You just go straight ahead. There we are, up to the Simpson Desert. Jeff's looking for his gears. He has the gears, he's got them and he's away. The road's been closed, it's now open as we head off down the track. Dalhousie Springs 75, Simpson Desert, Mount Dare Homestead 135 k's. And we're tailing Charlie and we're about to go. And here we have a stand of the extremely rare red mulga. Recognisable by its curly bark, highly prized, very strong wood, but the stands are really quite rare, and here we have a large stand of red mulga. And here you can see how the bark is curling and peeling. Red mulga. And there is the stand from a distance, looking like any other mulga or acacia. This is red mulga. To the dulcet tones of Mozart, we have another stand of red mulga here on Hamilton Station, close to the Northern Territory border and on the edge of the Simpson Desert. This is the point of no return out on this Gibber Plain, and we're moving around, and as the sign says, heading into the Simpson Desert, and there goes the track down there. And there's the sign telling us all the things to do and to not do and this and that and everything else, and where you can get more information and care for the desert and safe desert driving and watch out for the lizards and don't go into Northern Territory and all that sort of stuff. So here we are. Here's the Simpson Desert. There's no permanent water, it's difficult terrain and there are extremes of temperature, but we're going to go anyhow. And off we go in the trusty Land Rover. Vroom, 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 vroom.
Little boys and their games.
And because it is so unique, here is a Gibber Desert. It's green. because of the incredible rains that they've had here. And there's a tinge of green throughout the whole of this Gibber Desert, off into the distance. Just Gibber, the odd low bush, as we head east into the Simpson Desert. Actually, we still haven't got to Dalhousie. Here, high on a hill in the Gibber Desert, we have the ruins of Dalhousie Homestead, which was built in the 1880s, and eventually they built a new one at Mount Dare. But apart from the water supply here, it's pretty desolate living. The palm trees, probably planted by Afghan drivers. And down on the other side of the road, the overflow from the springs, more palms. And there's a desert oasis, a relic of pastoral enterprise and endeavour. At the turn of the century in Australia, made its wealth. Now, a desolate nothing here in the desert. Remnants, Dalhousie Homestead. Here's one of the ruined houses with a view out through the window with palm trees.
It's a door, Jack.
It's a doorway.
Yeah, it's a doorway.
Now the palm trees may not have been that size before, but hello Margaret.
Hello, Jack. How are you?
And outside the door, palm trees. And the galahs have learned to nest in palm trees. In the late afternoon as they're fighting for space. Down in the cattle yards, we see some examples of early pioneer carpentry, making this huge post and gate rail. The post pretty high. They must have big cattle. As the Nissan Toyota disappears off to the camping ground, they're left alone in these derelict cattle yards that were built at the turn of the century, and now hear the sound of hoofs no more. There's only the tourists' diesels here in the ghosts of Dalhousie ruins. Well, early morning at Dalhousie Springs, and the search is for soap powder. The water is warm, soft, and there's been a crowd here that have just done the canning, and they've been up since 5:30. Well, it's now 7:15, and we're about to go for a swim. There we go. And the water is beautiful and fresh. Not salty. Probably about 30 degrees. Are we going for a swim?
I'm going for a swim, but I don't really like being photographed being all fat in my bathers.
We'll have a look at the pool instead.
What?
We'll have a look at the pool instead.
Yeah. A much better view.
No one else swimming. The whole of Dalhousie Springs to ourselves. Two gliders have come down to drink.
Steam coming off the pool here.
Morning, Jack. What's the water like?
Warm, beautiful, beautiful warm.
Show us how you can swim.
You're not supposed to get your head immersed in the water
Why not?
because it's a standard government warning. This is Lothar Creek, it's our first muddy crossing, and we can get across here today, but this is a part of the area that's been closed. As they come up out of the salt pan plain on this windy day, and here comes White Sword, Ruggy.
Here's a bit of the cross, the track along Spring River that we're actually not taking. We're going a little bit over here to the right on this slightly drier one. And here come the intrepid vehicles. Here come Jenny and Jeff. Jenny's going to give us a nice big wave. And here we have Roggy. Going very fast. Oh, he's having to slow down a bit now. They've left me behind.
Okay, so here we go.
So here we go.
So we need nice clearance. Easy pie, but look at the mud out there to the left. And here we have the first bogging of the trip. Jennifer's... Well, hello Jennifer!
Hello, Jack.
Wave and be happy! As the negotiations and consultations go on.
You got the pin in the back?
So we're now ready to go. You right? Yeah. Okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going. No, keep going. Oh.
Amazing!
Piece of cake, boys. Well, in the distance you can see how the track is still basically underwater across this clay pan. This is one of the last clay pans that we've got, and very soon we enter the Simpson Desert proper. We're here at Freeth Junction, and this is what's at Freeth Junction. So we head off east in that direction to the Simpson, and now we're into the Simpson proper. You can see a low sand hill in the background, and the track is still wet, and we're having to take diversionary action. There's the bog car. Dr. Livingston, I presume.
Oh, indeed. Yes, I seem to have got a bit lost in Australia rather than Africa. All these rocks.
Well, this sign has been put up by the Queensland National Parks and Wildlife Service, as is the South Australian one, and the Northern Territory. Like it's single lane traffic, beware of oncoming vehicles, attach a flagpole, a whole lot of other things. And there are the HF frequencies, so if we get it on the video, so we'll be able to follow the thing through. It's 4010 6890 and 8165 from Port Augusta. Listen out for other vehicles on UHF channel 10. So we better change to channel 10. The red sands of the Simpson Desert. And these intrepid travellers who are all here reading the instructions intently. Ooh, do we know what the HF radio channels
Why
are?
is it advised not to use low clearance vehicles or trailers?
Because they're going to get
Free, what have you got as instructions for the intrepid drivers of the Simpson Desert?
Why did you caught me unawares here?
We proceed across the clay pan into the next sandhill. We have a couple of curious observers who have just watched all the other cars go past, completely unperturbed. 2 donkeys. They look very fit and healthy. Hello, donkeys. And here we have the Perny boar, which is an artesian boar. And they have toilets, showers. And we're stopping here and it's lunchtime. We're going across to have a look at the water. And this is one of the artesian bores that actually have burst through the artesian surface. It's a natural phenomenon. Oasis in the Simpson Desert, and we are in the Simpson Desert. Red sandhills, not particularly high at this point in time, but about to get bigger. Well, this is a danger sign saying that the water temperature down there exceeds 80 degrees centigrade and that you'll get second degree burns if you go down there, but they've got a little fenced off area here where you can go for a very, very hot bath. And as I read in the thing that there are species of fish that have adapted to live in these waters which die when they're taken into cooler water. Perny boar, Simpson Desert. Zebra finch is at Perny boar. And we've just been down to the hide that's been built by the Friends of the Simpson Desert. Looking at it, and everyone here is suffering from the heat. The temperature could well be into the high 30s today, and everyone's just feeling very, very hot. Jennifer's fine, Ian's fine, and Margaret is well dressed for the sunny weather.
Sure is.
And as we continue our trek into the Simpson Desert, we now actually are entering the Simpson Desert Regional Reserve. With our welcome to the Simpson Desert, one of the great desert parks of South Australia. We have to carry at desert parks. You get a handbook and we've got to go to Mount Dare Homestead or Birdsville Brook Store to get a desert parks pass. Well, we've got one, but if you didn't have one, you ain't going to go back to Mount Dare. There we have a traffic jam in the park. Well, we're now at Wonga Junction, where the Rig Road turns south and the French line continues on in its easterly direction. And so at long last we got rid of these terrible bumps and clay-covered road. And here is a sign from the Pink Roadhouse from Unadada saying that the French track is straight ahead, and both may lead to Popple's Corner and or Birdsville. Do not proceed, can't read out, without detailed maps, something or other, information, food, water, radio, and probably says deserts past. Then they give you the latitude and longitude there, somebody's written on it, so for those with GPS, they know exactly where they are. We don't have one, but we know where we are. And there's the French line going straight ahead, and that's our first sandhill on the French line. And this is the point in time when we drop our tyre pressures down to about 20 to negotiate these sandhills. And Ruggie?
I've brought him down to 40, which will bring it back to 30.
You're supposed to take them down to 20.
Oh, right. Huh?
Here we go down. This is going down our first sand. If I Well, the setting sun coming up, you can now see the shadow and cast from the sun to the west. All those dark areas are the eastern face of all those sand hills going off into the distance. As we take this look around towards the east, out onto the plain out the other side. And to the northwest, the sand track just continues. We're coming out to this reasonably steep side to this hill, and we've decided to camp just down the bottom of the hill. That blue sheets that out where we're going to sleep tonight. And there's Bob's car and Jenny and Jeff, and Bob's got his tent up, and there's the French line heading off into the distance. We've been pushing to average 20 k's an hour. Not because of the sand or the steep sand hills, but because the track is lots of ups and downs, and you get a resonance and you just shake everything up in the car. In the truck. Campsite. We're waiting for the shadows to take over the campsite. We've been shade, and it's 5:30. The temperature is still well over 30 degrees. This is going to work, but this is to show you just how tricky the manoeuvrability is. I'm walking along the sand track. You come to what's really a blind corner. You don't know who's coming up the other side. You hope it's no one. And there's my shadow, which is stuffing everything up. And then we go down to this little dip down here, and we come to this dark spot here. And that's just another left turn down the face of the sand hill and onto the flat. The shadow on the left. Well, this is just some of the vegetation of the Simpson Desert. Unidentified at this stage, but it's really like a puffball, dried flowers. Now that's cane grass, which is a standard habitat to this leeward side of the dunes. And here we are preparing the campfire for the evening. Ian in his pyromaniac mood. Ruggy attending to the world radio. Whilst in the eastern sky we have a full moon rising across the Simpson Desert.
Isn't that amazing? Ian, can you see it?
Yeah.
Just come and see the moon.
Oh, right.
The moon appearing over the eastern sky on the next sandhill.
Simpson Desert. Thursday, 14th of October, 1997.
Well, here we are on the 17th of October. Pre-dawn in the desert. It's 5:45 in the morning, and they've been sleeping under the bright moonlight all night. And here to the east the sun is coming up, and to the west we have the setting moon over the sandhill. If we're lucky, the sun just might come up before the moon has gone down. Elsewhere, have a bit of activity. Margaret rising for the day. Just slept out. It's like sleeping with the light on all night. Ian has the fire going. And Jenny and Jeff are up. The sun is just coming over the horizon. And we can just catch the sunrise on the sandhill as the moon disappears in the west. Welcome to another day. The flies are already up. Very little bird life. It's been just the odd call, but nothing now. Morning activities. Ian slept out. Bob was in his tent. Jenny slept out with the ants got her. Campfire going. Jennifer welcoming the day. Here comes Jeff, backwards out of his van yet again. This is our first official stop for the day. We've gone a couple of k's and we've stopped to consult on dingo tracks that have come all the way from our camp along the road, and now we reckon they're camel tracks. And that's what we believe to be camel tracks heading off into the east, and with a dingo pad on top of it. This is the French line. Jenny and Jeff coming along. It's in one straight line now. There's Bob coming as well over the last sandhill. There's just one after the other. And it's certainly not just a plain sand desert. There's quite a fair bit of timber, mainly mulga and sandhill acacia. We've been following the camel tracks and the dingo tracks, but seen no animals. This is the eastern side, the steep side of the sandhill. And here we are on the top of the sandhill, looking back down the track to the others are coming up, where they've also stopped for a photo shot. Clay flats in between. And this is the track down heading into the eastern sun. French line. Well, I thought I heard motors. Well, that's a typical eastern face of probably a 10-metre sandhill. Well, here we are at the join of the French line and the Colson track. The Colson track comes down from the north and goes on to the WAA line junction, which is 20 k's. Popple's Corner is further ahead. Don't tell us the distance. Colson was a pastoralist from Bloods Creek Station in 1936. He was the first person to, first European to cross the Simpson. That was followed by Madigan, who did it in 1939. And there's the Colson track coming in from the north. It's not maintained, but is used regularly. But still, the track we're on is not maintained either, and used very regularly. There's the French line going back to Dalhousie. That's where we've come from. Ian's inspecting what other bits of paper there are here on this remote area of Australia. What's it say, Ian? This is motorbike fuel for the Japanese tourists. And see, this is a cache of motorbike fuel that's been left for Mike and Spyro. And somebody's obviously come through along the track and dropped off the fuel for them.
That's a jolly stragman camped by a coolabah tree, but Jack is camping by a desert mulga called an Acacia anuria, and he's making our morning tea. Here we go. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Margaret.
Big smile.
See the sandhill?
Now, some people call this a Jack moment because this is when he stops.
See the sandhill? No, it's Jeff. That's not the sandhill.
I've got the sandhill. When he stops, he makes the coffee. And this is the scene around our morning tea. Bob's car. Jeff and Jenny's car. There's Jenny. And here's an idea of the whole width of the sand dune. Just goes on and on and on.
We go. On the French line, and it is hot out here. There we go. That's only a little one because they've got the track going straight up and over. It's the big ones, they wind around at the top and down. And off we go, heading east. And the hot summer wind has cropped up. The track goes on further and further to the east. Well, this is the Arabena Rig Road track where it crosses the French line track, and like it's we're a long way from anywhere. And if you have a look on the map of Australia, you'll see exactly where we are. We're just down from the Queensland border, and there's just sand hills everywhere. The temperature's got to be around 40 degrees. Very, very hot. FRN 191 means that we're on the French line, and we're 191 kilometres from Dalhousie, an intersection in the desert. We could go south down there, and that would get us onto the Rig Road. Well, this is the turn off. We've just gone past Lake Tamnin. We're about to do the turn off down to the Knolls. Now there's a point here, and these are gidgee trees.
We suddenly lost
Okay, go.
Right, surveyor and explorer David Lindsay passed this point on the 11th of January 1886 while on a traverse from Dalhousie station in South Australia to the Queensland border. Simpson Desert by a white man erected 5872. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Well, it's hot enough here today, let alone what it'd be on the 11th of January 1886 or any other year. So hot, I think the oil in the shock absorber has turned to water. It's not doing much good. But there's nice gidgee trees here, and we're away from the cane grass and the spinifex now, and the big sand hills have dropped away. And here we are at the Apradina Atora Knolls, which is a limestone mounds which have risen out of the desert. There's a change on this, we're now approaching the eastern end of the desert, and this is the Georgina Gidgee trees. The stone is very fragile. We're about to walk up there to have a view of the area. Now, from here you can see that the knolls are a very prominent geological feature in this absolutely featureless desert. Well, featureless as far as hills or stone is concerned, because everything else is just sand, sand, sand. But in this area, as I said before, the cane grass is gone, the spinifex is gone, and we have gidgee, some saltbush, some nida bush and some samphire. And to the east we have a clay pan here with Georgina Gidgee, which is the biggest tree we've seen for almost 2 days. And out behind the vehicles looking into the western sun, and with a bit of cloud appearing, which would be absolutely delightful to cut down the heat, we have Lake Tamlin, which was named by Colson after his a friend of his who was very prominent with education in South Australia, and so he named it Lake Tamlin. Well, last night this was the campsite from hell. There were winds of up to 40 knots, absolutely howling dust. Fortunately no tents were up, they would have all just gone, and that cyclone just roared for about 3 to 4 hours. So we just had to sleep under a tarp outside the window, and it abated about 3 o'clock this morning. And so we all had our evening meals sitting inside our cars. It was really like lunchtime, lunch meals of salads and what have you. There's sand in absolutely everything. And here the sand is not that red sand of the Western Simpson, because we're now about 30 k's from Popple's Corner in the stand of Georgina Gidgee. Mark's having trouble with the sand in her eyes. There's all the litter with our paper and rubbish bag on the back of the car. This Gidgee wood is very, very hard, burns with great heat, very difficult to get alight. We're standing around having breakfast. Douglas is up early and has got himself a cup of coffee.
How are you, Jacko?
I'm fine.
It's a little bit better this morning than it was last night.
It's a little bit better this morning. And there's a swag that Ruggy and Ian slept on last night. Well, as we head off east on this Saturday morning, after the storm, the track's been completely blown over with sand, and that's what we're heading on. We're making our own tracks across the French line. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's looking back west towards the campsite that we've just come from. The whole track's been blown over with sand, so it could be an interesting day.
Very slow. Very slow.
And here we have the blown out track. Sand hills are only sort of 4 or 5 metres high. We go out over the fresh track making fresh tracks into the sand. Completely different from yesterday. There's windswept sand amongst the cane grass. Very little plant life. Oh. It's the eastern side of the sand hills, but they're only a few metres high. Nothing like yesterday. The sand has changed from red to yellow. Height's dropped. And the cane grass is sparse and a lot of it's dead. And you can see the wind blowing off the top of the sand hills as we tackle this hill. Got the steering wheel. There's high ratio, bottom gear. Well, this is one of the typical ridges as we're approaching Popple Corner. You can see there's just no tracks on here, it's all been blown over during the night, but there's been a complete ridge build-up right on the very top of the ridge. And as I get closer, you should be able to see the sand blowing over the top. There we have a mini sandstorm on the top of the ridge. That there is in fact the track. And this one is in low ratio. Crawl up this hill. Well, surprise, surprise, here we have the first bogging of the sand hills. Margaret's saying hello everybody.
I bogged it.
Clever Jack got it out. Here he goes. Oi! He did it too. Step number 3. Bob made it. Here come Jenny and Jeff. We haven't made it yet. They didn't make it either. Down they go for the next attempt. He's going for the alternative route too. Here we are. It's not really chicken, it's just being cautious.
This is just a rather large sandhill. We've just come over and Bob said that the front of our car left the ground and we're waiting for Jenny and Jeff to come over.
Got the engine running, do you want to walk slow?
Good pioneering fashion, we've made it to Popple's Corner, and in the back is Lake Popple. There's a few signposts here, a lot of people have been out here, and across here in the other corner is the actual post, or the replica of the post put up by the Friends of the Simpson Desert. And we're now at the corner of the 3 states, South Australia, Northern Territory and Queensland. Okay Margaret, show me where you are.
Well, I'm in South Australia at the moment. Just a minute while I whiz into Queensland. Hi from the folks of Queensland. Sunny one day. What's it the next? Perfect the next. And now I think I'll go into the dry, desertous Northern Territory.
Well, I like Queensland.
Here I am in Northern Here I am in Northern Territory. Hey, you're not looking at me. Here I am in Northern Territory.
And here we are, hands across the border from Queensland to Northern Territory.
Aren't we friendly?
Aren't we friendly? Now come round here and hold your hands around the post.
Here we are.
Right, in all 3 states at once, and you can do a merry jig around the post.
Here we are. It's all at once.
Around the maypole.
It looks far more authentic.
3 states at once. Here we have Jack now standing at Queensland. Now he's going over to Northern Territory and around to South Australia. We've just been round 3 states all at once. Oh, now he's going round and round the 3 states. Wonderful, Jack.
Well, we're in the Simpson Desert National Park, but I think you'll find that that's the Queensland version of the Simpson Desert National Park, not South Australia. This is Queensland that we're in. Sure enough, it's the Queensland National Parks and Wildlife Service. It's disappearing off down there, and the wind coming straight from the south. Hot. Now that's looking back down the track where we've just come along. We've just stopped and had lunch, and we're about 15 k's east of Popple's Corner. But these are some biggish sandhills. They'll be a good 15-metre sandhills. And there's the the QAA line disappearing off into to the east. And everyone's standing around doing a picture stop, but it's desolate. Sand desert, Simpson Desert. And that's the eastern face of the sandhill. Your ability to survive out here would be very, very high. Very low survival rate. It's incredibly hot, dry wind, and if you don't have lots of water, you're in deep trouble. Hello, Sand Maiden.
Hello. I thought I was the blue-breasted, I can't think.
All of a sudden you come over a sand hill, and we come into the floodplain of Eyre Creek. We've got another 12 k's to go to get to the main creek crossing. This is the start of the floodplain, which goes to 30 or 40 k's wide when it's in full flood, and it has been in full flood. Well folks, we've got to Eyre Creek, and this is the main crossing at Eyre Creek, and it comes down here, down this way. As you can see, no one's been across, and that's the track there and across the other side. And Eyre Creek, one of the tributaries to the Warburton, and we have water here in the desert. Margaret is about to test the waters. As I've done it, it went up to Margaret's knees, but the track in and out's a little bit difficult. So the depth's not a problem. We'll go down and have a look at the other crossing, which is 50 metres down. Well, we've been on the road for a week now. It's Sunday, and this is the campsite at Eyre Creek, and in fact this is the road that led up to the old original crossing, which has now been washed away to a depth of about 10 feet, which we'll go down and have another look at in a minute. But it's completely clouded over, temperature for low 20s, whereas in other mornings at this time it's been sort of low 30s by the time we're having breakfast. But it's cool. Margaret has a jumper on.
Blue, brown, it's a grainy bread.
The bird books are out, the binoculars are out.
And that seems to keep reasonably fresh for acres. I don't know.
This stuff we've got on stage, it's like just like fresh fruit.
Yeah.
And it's got over a week old.
Mm. Mm.
And that's the, 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 That's the crossing. That's where the track used to go. And you can just see in the distance the QAA line which we've come down, and this is where we took our first video yesterday afternoon when we arrived at Eyre Creek. You can see where the creek bed now is, and the crossing has just been washed away from there. It could have been a good 15 feet. A very steep bank here, but it's impossible to get up. You can get down the other side, but you can't get up this side. Then we have the Eyre Creek, just come down from Queensland. Well, we're still in Queensland. It's a Queensland creek. Lots of bird life. Well, here we have the sandhill driver as we're heading off. We've just found out that over the top of the next hill is Big Red, but this one is not Big Red, is it, Margaret?
No, this is dainty, delicate red.
Okay. So we're going to see how we go up this sandhill. Oops. All I can see is a green grey thing. I don't know how big it is or anything. Oops. Skylight. We're only halfway up. Down the other side.
About that.
Well done, Margaret. Well done. Is that Big Red ahead? Here we are approaching Big Red, and we're all stopping to plan the strategies. Well, there's the sign, but they tell me that one behind there, which we all decided looked pretty easy, is not Big Red. Big Red's another 4 k's on, and it's how many metres? 40 metres high. And if you can't get over, you've got to come back here to go to Birdsville. Are you doing Big Red, or are you just going to have a look?
I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah, to give it a go, mate?
I think I might give it a go.
Big Red?
No, I thought we might just take the alternative route to Birdsville straight away.
Well, you stay here, we'll pick you up on the way back. But if anyone gets over, you could be here for a long while.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's what.
There's a Temp 1 by Ruggie, and he got about a third the way up. I think it's a bit steep.
Big Red, we're just about to tackle it. Bob's had 3 attempts and failed, so I think our chances are pretty slim.
Hacking it down, but here's Mr. Messenger. Here's Mr. Messenger about to have a go at Big Red.
Here we go.
Hey, boom, 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 boom.
Here we go. Nearly. Here we are looking back at where we've come, but we didn't quite make it. And that's as far as we've got to go, but we couldn't make it.
This is the top of Big Red.
Oh, Jack's just going to make it anyway.
That's all it takes.
There we are.
All nearly, but not enough.
And there's Big Red.
And that's the other side.
We nearly made it, but the sand is very, very soft. And we did that in low ratio, and we got to within about 10 feet of where Bob got to. So we'll just give the engine a rest now. And so now we have Margaret going backwards down Big Red. Big Red going backwards down Big Red. So how's that?
This is easier than going up.
That's the direct way up Big Red, but Bob's gone up the sideway, and there's Jeff tackling Big Red on the south track. Well, it looks like he's made it.
This is the alternative route for those who didn't make it over the top, which is all three of us.
And here we go. Big Red ahead, and we're turning right.
revs. Big Red, here we come. Oh, but rough.
Left-hand turn here.
Left hand here. David Wilson, eat your heart out. Not a worry, mate.
Hey. I think we made it. And there we are, behind Jenny and Jeff.
This is Big Red from the other side. It looks very, very easy. And we've come across a guy from Victoria. There's the only vehicle, it's the only third vehicle we've met. Good. Off he goes, up over Big Red, heading west to Dalhousie. And here, just back from Big Red, we have a little message from the Queensland tourist people saying that this is the Channel Country Byway. And this Big Red sandhill, and it's one of 1,100 sandhills in the Simpson Desert, and at 90 metres is believed to be the highest sandhill in the desert. 90 metres? My God! The sandhills in the Simpson run in a north-south direction for hundreds of kilometres and are covered in spinifex or cane grass, and we know all about it because we've been over the whole lot now. Well, across the Gibber Plains and the deserts of the Simpson, we arrive at civilization.
Museum, Birdsville Museum.
We have made it to Birdsville. Well, here we are, Birdsville, with a population of 100. It's the start of the famous Birdsville track. And in the whole Shire there's 280 people, and 100 of them are here in Birdsville. And there is the town. Oh, there's some new houses across here. Birdsville out in the Gibber Plain. This is the picture that's on every tourist brochure, photograph that's around the place. Birdsville Hotel, established 1884. There's Ruggie and Ian and Jeff and Jennifer can't wait to get in the bar. With our vehicles lined up out the front, crossed the Simpson Desert and made it to Birdsville. There's the main street of Birdsville. At the first sight of civilization, so look what we've got here. I can hear Jennifer from here. Oh, well, the Birdsville pub. Walls with photographs. And then holding up the bar. We'll find out the story about the hats later. And it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and here's Jeff turned up to... There's another traveller turned up to have a beer. As he swaggers his way to the bar. The various menus that are around. The best one we reckon is the 7-course meal, which is a 6-packet pie for $14. They're selling beer across the counter at $3 a bottle. At 6 3s are 18, so you're getting a real bargain there for a 6-packet of pie for $14. Well, we've been here for some time, and it's just been pointed out to us that there's a clock that says, who cares? When the clock in fact is, the numbers are all over the place and it's going backwards. A random listing of numbers is going backwards.
To that yourself? Have you been raining or what?
And the red stubby one.
The veranda of the Birdsville pub. There's a pelican who's here because the pelican thinks it's raining. This is wet country. And the dog's here barking. And the planes are there parked on the tarmac. It's bloody freezing. And the dog's barking at the pelican. Well, it's late Sunday afternoon and this is the Diamantina River as it flows through Birdsville. Made camp here on the side of the Diamantina. Oh, well, it's been a coolish Sunday afternoon. Settling down, we're about to go to the pub for an evening meal. A campfire. We're all standing around here getting a cup of tea.
Where's the water come from, Jack?
And who's the stranger in the group?
What's that?
Who's the new person in the group? Where'd you come
recently
from?
arrived
From the south.
from the south, exactly.
Not one of the locals?
Anybody else?
Definitely not a local, a would-be local.
Sunset on the Diamantina.
Christmas time
And here we have the resident artist sketching his retirement fortune on the banks of the Diamantina.
Here we have Jack washing in the Diamantina. Come on, get down in there and have a swim.
Climb out, enough. Come on, Margaret. It's not bloody 30 degrees.
Here we are on the banks of the Cadalga River. And you can't quite see the ruins of the old homestead of about 1880 odd. And we're here having lunch. The billy's boiled and we're all sitting local style underneath the gum tree having a round table conference.
Surely I should be allowed to have something. And
Did she claim that was a gift?
I think she might have even claimed it was a gift or something like that, and the mother one actually took it to court.
And away from the riverbank, in the waterhole, you have gibber plains with very, very little food, fodder. Well, this is the famous Cordillera Downs shearing shed out in the middle of these gibber plains, and behind is the homestead, no trees, nothing, in the middle of this windy plain. And its peak apparently had a 62 stand shearing shed, and when it was merged the other two stations they had something like 85,000 sheep. Been restored as a heritage, South Australian Government heritage building. Originally each of these catching pens would have been, there were 16 pens down on each side, and each one would have served two shearers, and that makes it a 64 stand shed, remembering that they were hand shearers, and then they would have had the catching pens in the middle. 64 stand shed, Cordillera Downs, with a wool room down at the end with a higher roof line with these buttresses to support this substantial stone building, unique as a shearing shed in Australia. Well, and here we are on the banks of the Cooper, Dinaminka. Got in here just in sunset last night. Beautiful spot, plenty of space, a bit windy, and we're all sort of standing around getting ready for breakfast. Margaret, of course, is going for a swim, so we have an egret across the river and Margaret in the river. Margaret doing a quiet inspection of the egret on the other side of the river, so the other side of the Kalimara waterhole here on the Cooper.
Fishing line.
With that famous swimming style, complete with Tivas for extra leg power. Here having breakfast, we have our resident egret that's come over to have a bit of a look around.
Aren't they lovely?
One very tame egret.
Large dark brown head, bill black blue bar at tip. So that's that little bit of blue I got.
And here we have a whistling kite on its nest just above us. They're young in there. Whistling kite. Here's the expedition arriving at the dig tree. They're all dissipating so they can't all get in the camera at the one time.
Well, which one is the dig tree anyway?
There's the dig tree on the banks of the Cooper. Camp 65. And just behind there is the bank where we camped on an earlier occasion with all the messenger tribe. You can just make out the the XV, the L's missing for LXV for 65.
Fairy Martin's nest is right at that end of the big lock, and as we head on, if you look back as we go past it, you'll see there's very...
This is the top end of the waterhole. We've been cruising for 45 minutes. It's been just like going along the River Murray. And this is the boat. There've been 20 of us on board. We've come upstream to Will's tree, presumably where they found Wills. It was the only survivor. No, Wills died. So it must be where Wills died. Where you go, Pat?
I was going to do what you're doing.
You look good there, Margaret. They like the net. Right. We're all about to go. Sunset on the Cooper. As we left in Aminka, got out here at Coonji at sort of 3 o'clock in the afternoon after having lunch at Kudamichi Outstation. Inside, out of the flies and out of the heat. It's now late in the afternoon and this is Lake Kunji. And there's the messenger bedside, that's Bob's tent. And we're planning to just sleep out on the open. It's in the sun now, but where we are there we're going to miss the morning sun. And the water hen have been wandering along the edge of the lake. It's a lovely day. There's Ian, he's been out doing some photography. And we've selected a spot right on this point where you get the afternoon shade and the morning shade. Camp is set on top of the sand ridge. There's no fires out here, so we'll see how we go tonight. And Pat's attending to the essentials of life here.
Absolutely.
And that is the essentials, so gin and tonic with Gordon's.
The lemon is most essential.
Oh, and the lemon, oh my God.
The lemon, you can't
It's really
go without the
toffee.
lemon.
What are you doing, Margaret?
I'm doing a what do you call it? Bird list.
Bird list, say hello.
Oh, hello.
And Jeff, what are you doing?
I'm having
Some
a
screen
little
test.
cask Chateau cardboard Shiraz Cabernet. Very nice.
Well, you've had a hard day, have you?
I've had a very hard day.
Oh, Jack, can you go and get a couple of glasses?
Oh, Jack, get the glasses. Jack,
Either
get the.
the middle or the bottom
Jack
drawer,
signed
Pat.
off. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Jack.
What are you doing?
I'm writing a list of all the birds that are congregated down the end there.
The campsite's on a point with water all around us, getting a lovely cool breeze, and we hope it's going to be a very pleasant evening. The water's not very deep, but cool. And here we have the Kungi setting sun. A peaceful late October evening. And to the east, through the coolabah trees, we have a sort of a purple going into pink sky. Right, Jeff has to work out which colour he's really trying to copy, because it's constantly changing. And probably the most rarest incident of the whole day, everyone silent. It is a unique time of the day.
Just move a little bit to the right, please, Jack.
It didn't last very long. And here, just right by the campsite, we have a pair of galahs feeding their young. If you listen carefully, you hear the growling.
I think there might be only one.
Oh, I saw two yesterday. And here's breakfast on the shores of Kungi. Nice breeze, keeps the flies away. Out here on the eastern side we have waves. On the western side and the protected side of this point, it's all nice and calm as we all proceed with breakfast. And this is Kungi from round the other side as we're looking back towards our campsite and the point. And you can just see Bob's tent. And in on the trees there you can pick out Jeff's car. Bob's tent, might be able to pick up our tarp on the ground. But that's the point where we've got views both to the east and to the west over this water. It's beautiful, perfect campsite. Wide expanse. Kungi Lakes. And here we've driven around to the other side of the lake as late in the afternoon, shafts of sunlight coming through, pelicans quietly drifting on this still water. Sunset on the shores of Lake Kungi. And here on the little headland from our campsite and our private bird watching colony, we have out there two brolgers. Centre screen you can just see two brolgers, and we can't get out any further because it's too wet. So we have this pleasant evening scene.
Oh, that will do. It is pleasant, isn't it? This thing can't
Ian,
sit
what
up
can
there.
you see with your long Lens. Oh, you haven't got it on.
Well, I haven't got the short one on at the moment, but
Called her, her name is. She's married to David Woodcade. And she lives at Seacliff. Are you going to take a photo, Ian? Yes, you take the one? I will take it.
And the noise you can hear are two young galahs in this tree here, waiting to be fed as the sun sets over Kungi Lake. And this has been a half-hour process. It was our last morning and we're about 25 k's out of Lyndhurst, and we've been camped on the side of this hill and there is no action, and now will everybody walk across to Pat's car. Jeff first, right turn, quick march, up Jennifer. It's the only action I'm going to get out of the whole picture. Oh, thank you very much. No, Pat's about to go up to Maree as soon as we get to Lyndhurst. No, it's an action shot. Action! Action! Beside Pat's Toyota, we have a... What's going to happen?
Oh, what a feeling!
And we now have gone through the dog fence, and it's sheep country, and but it's very, very stony, but salt bush, and watercourse country. And this is a part of Mount Lyndhurst Station. Well, part of the difficulties is getting everybody actually in their cars with the engines going and about to go. And we've had some radio difficulties, so some cars do go better than others. But there's Bob and Ian going off in the lead vehicle. And looks like followed by Margaret, as the disco heads off down the hill. And here comes Pat. Oh, it's Pat or Jeff. And a big RF radio. So we head off down this hill. Tracker. As we all head off down this station track. Well, we crossed the whole of the Simpson Desert and never saw a camel, but here on the outskirts of Lyndhurst we have a rear end view of a camel heading westward. He's kindly turned around to give us a side-on view, thinking, what the hell are these people doing?